And here we go. Digital Adele back with another Hoops Profile Beyond the Backboard podcast for you with my host, Matt Hanifan. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing outstanding. You know, our contributions to the 5 Reasons Sports Network for the Miami Heat have gone swimmingly. The fan base loves everything that's going on in Miami, as well as our performances on playback. So here's to you, Miami Heat fans. No, I'm excited to talk NBA draft prospects, man. We're in March. March Madness is in full swing. The quality of college basketball games over the last 2 days has been nothing short of outstanding. So I'm really excited to dive in to this. Real quick before we get started, tell the people where they can find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
At MPH_A24_ on Twitter. You could find me at hot.hoops.com, mountainwestconnection.com, vendettasportsmedia.com. The Mountain West tournament does start next week for everyone who wants to watch or even cares to watch. That does start next week. But we are not talking about that today. So
there's that Nevada bias that we've all come to know and love from one Matt Hanifan. Thank you for getting that in.
Nevada's not very good. They're mid, so
no,
they're not gonna win. They're not gonna go dancing in any capacity. They'd be so cool though.
But that Donovan Dent
win the Mountain West tournament.
That Donovan Dent.
Donovan. We talked about him last time.
Yeah,
or at least we touched on him a little bit. Well, probably
we gave him a little shine, a little bit of shine.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and he literally
rightfully so.
He very much proved me right. For at least a 1-game sample on Tuesday.
Yeah, I like it, man. Rightfully so. Take your flowers, take your lap. But what we are talking about today, we are talking about the top 10 bigs in the 2025 NBA draft that you should know. And we're ranking them in terms of what we think. Me and Matt Hanifan, not what a GM thinks, not what the other experts may think, but what we think. And that's typically how we like to operate around here. Before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, you can definitely chat with us. Very interactive. I'm always keeping an eye out on our chat, as well as at playback.tv/hoops profile, where we're recording this. You'll notice that a banner randomly pops up on your YouTube screen with a QR code to join our playback room. So if you haven't joined our playback room, use that QR code and come on down and be in the audience for our show. But anyway, where would you like to start, Matt? Let's go right to the top. Who's your number one big that people should know in the 2025 NBA draft?
Let me just preface by saying, I told you this before. This was a very hard list for me to create just because, like, there's some of these guys who I have, like, lumped together in, like, tiers, kind of.
Right.
And, like, you could talk me into most of these players in being in between a few different spots. But my number one big is Asa Newell.
Ooh, controversial. I like it. Talk to me about that. Why do you have Asa Newell as your number one big?
I think for one, I think one of the most like nimble, mobile bigs in this class. That's something that I like. His motor's off the charts. I think for his size, he's an elite offensive rebounder.
Right.
I know the shot has been a question for most throughout this year. And I understand that. I think he's that Georgia team is a team that's not very well spaced. He also plays alongside, I don't remember the guy's name, but he also plays alongside another big.
Is it Crawford?
Something like that. Yeah. He also, and the spacing's a bit compromised there too. And so I think that's helped him to an extent because I think it's helped him try to expand his range a little bit more. I was looking at some of the numbers before we hopped on. Last 7 games, shooting 36% from 3 on 3.5 attempts. I think that's come a long way. He's shooting around, I think, 70 to 75%.
It's not a knuckleball anymore.
Yeah.
It has backspin now.
Yeah. Like, he's a very fluid mover. I think with him, like, obviously he's going to have to get stronger.
Right.
I think that's like a must. I think he will over time. I think that was something that we were saying at the very beginning of the year. But I like the ingredients that are there. relative to some of these other bigs. Not to say that these other bigs are back again. Like he's lumped with a couple of guys that I have, following him.
Right.
I think he's scheme versatile. Like I think in a perfect world within a couple of years, he'll be able to play both drop and switch effectively.
Yeah.
At the next level. And I think again, I just think that shot's going to improve. Something that I like about him when I watch him is his playmaking. Like they do considering he plays with another big, they do a lot of high-low stuff.
They do a lot of that, yes.
And so like that's something where like, yeah, I think he'll be more of like a rim runner, screen and roll type threat. But I think just him having to make those decisions,
right?
Especially like in that nail area, like I think that will help him if like he has to become like a short roll guy. Obviously, again, you want to just I think he has the motor, he has all of the little like intangible stuff.
Right.
And he's I think improved as the years gone on in multiple areas. And so I think just that alone, I wish the team was better. They're not. I think they're on the bubble right now, and so we're not going to be able to see him in like tournament games. I don't think, or at least I'd have to look at the bracket matrix.
I think it's still not decided. I think they still have an opportunity, but they're going to have to really show up during the SEC tournament.
Yeah, I'll have to look and see what the bracket matrix says, just based like for current projections. But I don't think they're a tournament team right now. I could be wrong. Right. But I do love what Ace has done this year, despite the context that he's in, and him being super young.
So
he's my number one pick.
Let me say this, real quick to the audience: we're not taking guys that are going to project as wing players as bigs in this scenario. Like Rasheer Fleming isn't going to be in this mix. He's a wing at the next level. So we're not even going to go there. But Asa Newell as your number one pick, I'm not mad at it, especially with the ceiling that he has. 6'10", 205. He's only 19 years old. What he's doing in the SEC. What was really intriguing about Newell for me is how he stood up to Janai Broome whenever they played head to head. You have strobe lights going on. What is happening?
Oh, so that's my TV. I apologize. Let me turn it
That's okay. I'm like, what is happening to your face, dude? You're like getting flashed with strobe lights.
I had spring training on the background, so that's my fault.
All good, dude. All good. But yeah, I mean, 6.5 rebounds per game, 1 block, 1 steal. Yeah, I really like what he does, man. But I got somebody different for my number one. My number one is actually injured currently, and that is Thomas Sorber. Thomas Sorber, to me, is the best big in this entire class. What he was doing on that Georgetown team, he was the engine that drove that team. He was the reason why they won. He did absolutely everything for that, him and Peavy, for that Georgia team. Mm-hmm. And Sorber, for being as young as he is, he already had grown man strength. He may not be as tall as like Kaman Malawach or Danny Wolf or these guys, but he played just as big as either one of those guys. And once he started getting acclimated to how strong he actually was, and he realized that he was that much, stronger than the rest of the people he was playing against, he was just an unstoppable force for Georgetown. At 19 years old, I just think he has a rare ability around the basket, not only to finish his footwork, but that strength is something you just can't teach because he's going to fill out. He's going to get stronger as you go along. His shooting, I mean, I know it says he's only 16% on the year from three, but I think he's going to be a much better three-point shooter than that in the league. He's a willing three-point shooter as well. And his free throw percentage, 73%, tells you he's going to be better than that. He also rebounds the ball better than Asa Newell at 8.5 rebounds per game. He facilitates better, 2.5 assists per game, blocks shots better, 2 blocks per game, even averages more steals per game. I think he is the best big in this entire class. With that being said, Asa Newell as possibly my number 2 player. Behind him, I could definitely see an argument for that. But Kaman Malawach would be my number 2. And here's why.
He's my 2 as well. But the reason why I'm going to spoil it. I have Sorber 3. The thing that we talked about off air with the foot injury for being 7 foot, that's why I dropped him. Because I thought about Sorber for 1.
Yeah.
I really did.
It's a great point. So for the audience, let me fill the audience in. Every big that I've evaluated, I've always said if a young big has foot injuries, that's a red flag for their career. Watch out. Like the thing with Chet, I thought Chet was going to be injured his whole career because of that. It's turning out to be true. There's multiple other bigs like Joel Embiid. Same thing. Big men with bad feet, you got to watch out for them. They just, especially the heavier set bigs that carry a lot of weight, it's just a lot on their joints and on their bones and their structure for carrying that. And it's usually a bad sign when they have bad feet at such a young age. So that's a great point that you brought up. I'm not letting that hold me back in this scenario.
I get it. I get it. No, because I thought about Sorber 1.
Right.
But man, I don't know with the foot.
So let me give you my spiel why I think I'd take Malawach over Asa Newell.
Okay.
Malawach is 18 on draft night. He'll be younger than Asa Newell on draft night. Yep. He's 7'2", 250 pounds. And I guarantee you when we go to the measurables, his wingspan is going to be that of a Boeing 747. Like he's going to have enormous wingspan and big hands at that. I also think his 3-point shooting is going to be something he's going to be able to utilize in the NBA that he's not currently really allowed to use at Duke. They don't really let him shoot threes. And I think he showed in the Olympics that he's got a better 3-point touch than what he's been able to show at Duke. And even though he shoots like 70% from the field, he's really limited in what he can show offensively because you're not taking touches away from Con Knipple. You're not taking touches away from Cooper Flagg. You're not taking touches away from Tyrese Proctor. He's like last on the list of people to get offensive post touches or touches in general. So I think there's more upside to Kaman Malawach than what we're going to see. And when you're evaluating, in my opinion, these guys in that fashion, the planet theory, there's only so many of these guys walking around on Earth, 7'2", 250 pounds, that is able to move like Malawach, has the athletic traits of Malawach. I will say, I've said this before on this show, I think Malawach is a little deceiving in terms of athleticism because of how long his arms are. I don't think he's nearly as good vertically as people believe he is. I think his wingspan is what makes him look like a better vertical athlete than what he is. That being said, he's anchoring one of the best defenses in college basketball, blocks shots. I can't pass up on those measurables mixed with that talent.
Yeah, exactly. And to add on to your athleticism point, how it's deceiving, I think it's also deceiving laterally because of how big he is.
Right.
Like he's a better lateral mover than they get him. Like I've said it before on here. John Shire's kind of sprinkled in multiple different coverages for Malawach throughout the year. Like there'll be times where he'll be a drop. There'll be times where he plays up higher, like toward the level of the screen. There's also times where he'll just switch.
That's true.
And he's shown flashes in literally all of those areas, believe it or not. In addition to like, he's shown like every once in a while he'll take a three. He either makes it or goes like way, way, way over the backboard, or like he'll just like throw it at the back. Like it's like, okay, like there's some touch there. There's, again, that's why we call it flashes of stuff. I think that it'll be better too. He is very limited with his offensive role, but like I love, like, you could just throw it anywhere around the rim and he'll just go up and get it. Like he has incredible hands. He really Sorber does. And I think Newell I think Malawach and Sorber have better hands than Newell does, but like they all have very, very, very good hands. So that's
agree.
That's something that I like about them.
You know what's the thing that separated Sorber for me, like I said, from all these guys, though, his ability to facilitate the 2.5 assists per game, along with blocking he leads them in block shots. He leads them in rebounding. He's the best rebounder out of all three. Like, to be able to facilitate block shots, rebound.
Is he better than Malawach as a rebounder? Like, I know the total numbers say so, but Malawach has been insane given the amount of like run he gets as a rebounder. He's corralling 22% of his offensive rebounds in ACC play. That's insane.
I think if Sorber was on a team that had a Cooper Flag that would draw that kind of attention, I think his rebounding numbers would be astronomical.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, everything within a 10-mile radius he's getting.
So even if they're comparable, but that's the same. You could say the same thing for Sorber, though.
Yeah, you can to an extent. Yeah,
you could say the same thing for Sorber.
The raw numbers I don't think benefit Malawach just because it's like he's only playing 20 minutes a night.
Yeah, but so that's the other thing that's kind of worrisome for me, that he's only playing 20 minutes per night, as where Sorber was playing like 31 and a half. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
one game he played all 40 minutes, which is probably a bad idea in retrospect now to he's injured.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love Sorber. I just think he's criminally underrated in terms of this class. But I love Malawach as well. And I do have Asa Newell number 3 on my list because I didn't get to that. So, Matt, you have Asa Newell number 1. You have Sorber number 3 and Malawach number 2, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I just flipped 1 and 3 because of the injury.
All right.
But again, like, you could talk me into any of these guys being 1. You could talk me into any of these guys being 3.
Could not talk me into Derek Queen or Colin Murray Boyles number 1. You could not.
Well, I meant of the 3 that we just
talked about. Of the 3 you're talking about. Okay.
I was like, that's not no. You taught me into Janai Broom.
Janai Broom, number 1 overall. That's right.
No, I meant just
over Cooper Flag.
Guys. You could talk me into any one of them being 1. You could talk any one of them being 2, 3, whatever.
You know what? I just realized we should have prefaced as well that Cooper Flag isn't a big at the next level.
Oh, no. I thought that went without saying, but for the audience.
I thought it did as well, but now that we started talking about it, I'm like, wait, in college he plays like he plays the big spot, but he's not a big. He's a wing at the next level.
Does he play the big spot?
Him and Malawach, basically, right? They don't have any other big in that starting lineup. It's Malawach, Flag, Knipple, Sion James, and then who's that third guy? Is it Proctor? Well, does he start?
They play like Malik Brown is a big.
I guess, yeah. I guess Malik Brown
off the bench though. Like,
all right, so maybe we don't need
very limited role, but
maybe I need to give the audience more credit for their basketball savvy. I need to get off my high horse. Who do you have number 4? I'm very interested in who you have number 4.
Danny Wolf.
Oh, Danny Wolf.
I have Danny Wolf 4.
The 7', 250 guard / center.
It's crazy. His skill set's crazy for someone of his size. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I have him above some of the other guys. He may not have a higher ceiling than that, but like, you're getting a legit floor of some, like, in today's modern NBA. Yeah, a lot of the bigs are still like screen and roll,
right?
Type threats. Yeah, some of them shoot the 3 ball better than others, but like, he's just a weird.
He's got a unicorn skill set for that size.
Yeah. He's very smart. He moves well defensively, like laterally for someone who's 7 foot, 7'1", however tall he is.
Are you saying that because he went to Yale?
No. I mean, I guess I could have just said yes and moved on. But like, I just think he knows where to be on the floor.
No, he is. He's an incredibly smart basketball player. Incredibly smart.
He'll make live ball reads with both hands fairly easily.
Right.
Like, yeah, the turnovers are a question. Sometimes, I've said it before, he tries to get a little bit too fancy.
Right.
Fine with it. If you're confident in your ability, fine with it. I know it's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but like, fine.
And it's not like he's 24 years old. He's still only 21 years old on draft night.
Yeah. And so like, I don't know. I just think you can plug him in to most situations right away, and he'll make an impact.
I agree with that. I think he's going to make an impact right away in the NBA. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar or an all-pro, but he's going to help whatever team he's on. He's not going to be stuck in the G League. Like, he's going to be an impact player immediately. I agree with that.
On both ends.
On both ends of the floor. Both ends of the floor.
And so that's where it's just like, yeah, I think his highs are very high and his lows are pretty low, but I think he has a good floor. Like,
well, and here's the floor.
And like, because of his floor and because of his unique skill set, I think that to an extent raises his ceiling.
So, but this is what I was going to say. This is his floor. 9 rebounds per game, right?
Yeah.
2 or 3 assists per game in the pros. A block and a half. Finish 50% at the rim. Maybe give you 35% from 3. As a spot-up shooter. The off the dribble stuff he really needs to work on and stop doing. He really needs to stop doing that till he gets it down. But the spot up shooting, he'll be able to give you that in the pros. That's your floor. If that's your floor, heck yeah, man. 4th best big in the entire draft.
And I think that floor could even be better from 3 if it was just spot ups.
Oh yeah, if it was strictly spot ups, because his off the dribble stuff is horrendous. Correct.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so that's where I'm like, he's such a unique prospect with his ability to handle the ball, play make. Again, I think he's a better defender than like people give him credit for.
I align with you on this.
He shows he can move laterally, and he's big enough to where, like, if you want to play him and drop, he can backpedal and have the size and space to take up that.
You know what's interesting about that? He'll get dropped a couple of times, like by guards, because he's so big and changing direction. Sometimes he gets butt the floor.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He'll still go out there. He'll still guard. And it's not like he's standing 25 feet away from the guy. Like he's within arm's reach to be able to contest shots. That's a unique thing for a guy that's 250 pounds and 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what his wingspan is going to be. It might not come in as long as we think. But I am interested in what it is.
He has the shoulder width and the mass to take away space at the next level.
Agreed.
And so, like, yeah, the wingspan may not be great. He may not take up as much space as someone like Sorber or like Malawach, just in general. But like, he's got broad shoulders. I think again, like, there are times when I watch him where I wish he would finish better around the rim than he does.
Yes. But I got a point on that. He finishes better against bigger players around the rim than he does against smaller players around the rim.
Right.
It's so bizarre.
Absolutely.
It's like he shrinks as he gets closer to smaller players. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. I think it's more of the mindset of like, he knows he's got to go up stronger against some of these like bigger
guys. Yeah.
But I have noticed that too.
But weird. Yeah, I mean, and so here's the reason why you pick him as the 4th best big, because if he ever figures it out, he's dangerous. He's really dangerous. So like, I'm all for taking a swing on that type of talent. Number 5, I'm going to go with my number 5 guy that I would have, and
I'm very interested to see who you got. So who do you have for?
I'm with you, aligned with Danny Wolf.
Okay.
I'm aligned with Danny Wolf. Derek Queen would be my number 5 guy. It would be Derek Queen.
I struggled with 5.
But here's why. So Janai Broom would probably be 5th on my list.
Wow.
Hold on, but I'm going to tell you why. Hold on. And here, well, actually, we're doing big. So Toppin counts as a big?
I think so. I have him on mine.
Okay. So if Toppin counts as a big, Alex Condon counts as a big, I go Derek Queen because he's 20 years old. He's amazingly skilled on offense, like very, very skilled offensively. He has traits to be able to defend in space. He can move laterally. He rebounds the ball. I know he doesn't shoot a lick, but he's just so skilled. If you were going to go somebody like JT Toppin, if you were going to go somebody like Janai Broom, you basically have a limited upside with Broom. Broom's not going to be much different than what he is now. In fact, I don't think Broom's going to translate very well in the NBA, to be honest. I think he's kind of an awkward fit. Ryan Kalkbrenner, he doesn't do it for me. Condon doesn't do it for me either. I think basically I'm taking Derek Queen by default.
That's where I landed at.
So you're taking Queen also?
Yeah, I had Queen as my 5, but this was a spot that I struggled with.
Yeah.
Because there's one player in particular that I thought about putting over him for I thought about it for a long time.
Who did you potentially have?
Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Oh, Ryan Kalkbrenner, 25 years old. Van Wilder.
I know have had my fair share of jokes about Kalkbrenner. And I know, and the reason why I didn't do it is because Kalkbrenner's like my age. But I think there's something, dude. I think there's something to be said about a player with such an unbelievably high floor who can perfect the screen and roll at the next level. And
he can definitely do that.
And that's something that he does. And he's an exceptional shot blocker. Like, I don't think I've given him enough flowers just for what he can do defensively. Like, I think his verticality, his ability to finish around the rim.
Yeah.
His screen setting's kind of funny because it's like there are times where he'll set like a really good screen, and then there's other times where
he'll stand straight up and look like a pencil. Like
but there's other times where he'll set such an illegal screen that it actually doesn't get called as an illegal screen. It's like that's
actually funny. That's
like an NBA player.
Yeah.
Because they don't ever call illegal screens in the NBA.
No, they're moving all the time on screens in the NBA.
Yeah, and so like I think he'll fit well in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brian, again, I've made the joke before that he moves like a 55-year-old on like a speed walk in your neighborhood. Like if you go outside at like 6 a.m., you'll see someone who runs like Ryan Kalkbrenner.
So what you're saying is he's not going to win any foot races in the NBA.
You're correct. But I think he moves like he's not Edie to where like I think he'll have a problem moving in drop. I think he moves much better than Edie does. And I also think that like I don't know, like I don't hate the playmaking. I think he has excellent hands.
Can I give you some stats in a game he had against Sorber in December?
Okay, what is it? This is blind for me. I
10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks.
There's a reason why we have Sorber in the top 3. But I don't know. I just think there's something to be said. Like, yeah, I know his ceiling's not high at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not. I think he'll be at worst or at best, I think he'll be like a decent starting big.
I don't know if he'll even be a decent starting big. I think he'll be a career backup big.
I don't think he'll be a career backup just because I think some of the stuff that he does, like, I'm not going to say he's going to be like a top 10 big, like top 10 starting big. But like if he's like,
I think he's like Lopez.
Not even that. I just think like Jonas Valanciunas. Like I don't need
Jonas. I don't even think he's going to be as good as Jonas though.
I think he can be, but he shot the ball better on such low volume,
right?
To where like maybe a team can squeeze that out of him. But maybe. I just think like just for what he provides as a baseline,
yeah,
he finishes everything.
You think he could ever be a double guy in the NBA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
that's interesting.
And I think he'll at worst be like a guy who can get you like 2 blocks a game. Or not at worst, like 1.5. Like he's a really good shot blocker for someone of his size. It's just that he's old.
He's very old. He's very
old. That's the one thing that's like holding me back from putting him above Derek Queen. Again, it was by default. I don't love any of these guys.
He'll basically be 24 on draft night.
Correct. So maybe I'm being a little bit too bullish on him anyway.
Yeah.
But I just think like again for the role that he can provide.
Well, let me ask you, but do you see there's more of a ceiling there? Is there more to his game that he can unlock? Like, Do you think the 3-ball will be a bigger part of his arsenal when he gets to the NBA? Like,
yes, I think
okay.
it will be. I think his passing will also be more featured. The thing that I want to see that I don't want to see from him that I see from him a lot,
Mhm.
as much, like, I think he'll have to be better around the short corners and
Yeah.
not stay like there are times where he'll just station himself and try to post up just
Right.
because he's that big in the lane, and it's like you can't do that in the NBA.
Right.
Like, you have to be able to navigate the short corners in that baseline well to be a big if you're not gonna be like a screen and roll guy and if you're not, screen setting or whatever.
Right.
But I think he can do that. Like, I think if you just if it because I think he's like a I I think he'll be able to adjust to that.
So
It's
who do
just
you have 6?
that's more of like a habitual thing.
Who do you have number 6 then?
Kalkbrenner.
I mean number 7, sorry.
This one was difficult for me too because I initially had Murray Boyles, but I put Condon above him.
Interesting. Alex Condon from the University of Florida, 6'11", 230 pounds.
I hated this spot too.
That's a tough spot, man. Colin Murray Boyles. Let me explain something to people about Colin Murray Boyles. Colin Murray Boyles' last game, he did nothing the entire game. The entire game against Georgia and Asanul. He didn't do anything. In the second half, he ended up with basically 24 points on 18 free throws. Now, some would say that's a skill in itself.
Yeah.
That's an anomaly because he's only had double-digit free throws twice this season. Once was against like a division, what was it, Towson? What division is Towson?
It's their Division 1, just in a very small conference.
Jesus. Okay. So he had double-digit free throws against Towson. He had double-digit free throws against Presby. And really, that's it. Arkansas and in Georgia. I guess it's a skill. Is that going to translate? I'm not so sure. He does rebound the ball quite well relative to his size.
He defends well and play makes well, but
does he play make well?
Yes. In the short roll.
I struggle with him because I haven't seen him play make against quality competition yet.
Fair.
Like that's really my issue. Like his like playmaking shows up against these like bad teams. Now he did have 5 assists against Georgia. I don't know. He's such a tough evaluation for me, especially relative to the hype you hear about him. Like I don't see it, dude.
I don't get it either. Again, I've told you this. You and I agree with to I think some extent on this. I'd feel so much better about him if he was like 6'9".
Oh yeah. 6'9", 6'10". Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would feel astronomically better about him if he was that, but he's not. So
Towson is in Baltimore, Steven says. Stephen Fine, again, a regular on the show in the chat, says Condon out of Florida is a good center. I think he's a good center as well. I have concerns about his strength. I think he gets bullied a lot. He's an excellent facilitator, especially out of the short roll in the mid post. Good 3-point shot. Great footwork. I just think he's weak. Dirty Dancer, toughest draft cycle in a long time to fall in love with anyone outside of the top 5 or 6. I don't know about that, Dirty Dancer. I like a lot of guys in this draft.
They're just all young, and so they all have flaws.
Correct. So. They're all very, very young. But I like a lot of guys in this draft.
Me too.
He said, I kind of like Henry Vassar as a sleeper. First time I've actually even seen his name. Henry Vassar. Dirty Dancer, tell me about Henry Vassar.
But no, yeah. So I had Condon 7. I love his motor. Like I think, and I love his motor. I think he moves very well.
Yeah.
They use modern concepts. Like the more I hone in on them, the more I watch. Like they do a lot
They
of
do.
horns. They do a lot of DHO,
Mhm.
Chicago action. Like that's stuff that they do. And like I think he's one of the. I put this in our off the floor Discord. I think he has one of the best. He's one of the better processing bigs in this class. Like when he
I
sees
agree with that.
something, he's very quick to react and play make.
I definitely agree with that.
And so that's something that I think will translate well to the NBA level, and that goes like hand in hand with like the playmaking stuff. I am again. You and I talked about the software. I think I'm a little bit higher on his strength and his physicality than like he'll obviously have to get stronger.
Yeah.
Like regardless of how you feel about it, and you could say this about multiple of these guys in this class for every position. But I again in the games that I have watched, which I'm not gonna say it's been a lot, it hasn't. Of Condon, he hasn't gotten like bullied, but I something that I do know that
I find it hard to believe that you've watched a game and he hasn't been bullied, because he struggles anytime he gets physicality. He just gets stymied, like completely stood up and stops. I find it hard to believe, Matt.
I haven't seen it as I haven't seen it.
I like Condon. I agree with you. The footwork, the processing, the passing ability, the shooting, physicality stuff. I'm telling you, man, he's soft.
I'm not saying he's he's like an uber physical player, but I don't think he's soft.
He gets stopped, stood up, like nowhere to go. Like he doesn't have any bump to make space for himself down there. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
I don't think he's soft, though. I think
I want you to find me a clip of him turning, creating space, and going up. It doesn't happen. He just gets walled off, and he has to retreat or pass back out. He's not. I get it. Maybe you missed it. Well, I could be wrong too. But I think
saying he's soft though is like a negative. Like I don't think he has the mentality.
I know. I got to be better with my words.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think he has the mentality of someone who's soft.
He's not soft in the way of that I guess people would take it as a negative. I'm just saying he's not creating space. How's that?
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Like I'm not saying he's like an uber physical big, but like I'm saying like he's not soft. Like like
I got you. He's not backing down, is what you're saying. He's not backing down.
I don't think that at all. I would 100% disagree with that. I don't think that's what you're saying.
No, it's not. I'm just saying that when he meets physicality down low, he doesn't create space. He retreats. That's basically how I feel about Alex Condon. But I like what I saw of him. I did get to watch a lot of Clayton, recently as well. I got interesting thoughts on him for another podcast. What's his name? Is it Walter Clayton? Will Clayton?
Yeah, Walter Clayton Jr.
Walter Clayton. Yeah, that's it. So I got thoughts on him. He reminds me a lot of Poulin. He really does, and it's funny that they're teammates, but he reminds me a lot of Poulin. All right, so let's talk about this. So JT Toppin is 6'9", 225 pounds. Alex Condon is 6'11", 230 pounds.
Yeah.
So the physicality and the lack of strength is kind of why I'm so low on Condon. And I think I got Condon going bottom first, early second, or late first, early second round. That's kind of where I have Condon going. I would pick personally myself Condon over Kalkbrenner, especially because of the upside.
Fair.
I would definitely have him over Kalkbrenner. JT Toppin is very difficult for me because in the NBA, he's going to have a big problem generating any offense outside of just short roll stuff, going to get it off the glass, because he only goes over that right shoulder and scores with his left hand. It's literally the only move he has.
Correct.
So, Toppin's going to be one of those guys that's going to do well in Summer League because he plays his butt off all the time, super hard. People are going to be like, oh my God, they missed out on a superstar. He scores all the time. And then he's going to get on a scouting report and they're going to take away his left and he's not going to be able to do anything.
That was my biggest concern. And that's been that has been my biggest concern, and that will continue to be my biggest concern with JT Toppin. I love him to death just because of the motor, just because of how scheme versatile I think he is defensively.
Right.
He's flat again. He flashed the 3-point shot in combine. He hasn't done it at all in college at New Mexico or Texas Tech.
Where you think he would have the leeway to do so, considering he's like the best player on the team.
Correct. And I don't know if I don't know if that's a coach thing.
Let me ask you something. Do you think any of these international guys we know nothing about, they're going to sneak up and be higher picked than what we think?
Sure.
Because that happens every year, right?
Yeah, it does.
Like Rocco Zakarski. Like he could possibly be picked higher than we think. Joan Behringer.
Yeah.
Did he not play in Sniper? No, that's Tom Behringer. Sorry. Who else? That's bad. I'm over Almanza. I was over Almanza last year. Like when people were hyping Almanza up as being a pick, I'm out on him. I'm out on Brazil. I'm way out on Coleman Hawkins.
Are we sure Brazil's even a big?
He's definitely a big, but he's not very effective.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I'm all the way out on Brazil. Eric Dixon's hilarious, dude. He's going to get on somebody's summer league team, and he's going to put up like 40 points.
I know someone who was at his game the other day. Someone else I work with, and he was telling me, he was like, he's like, I'm in the middle of watching Eric like having the worst game of his life right now. Like he's high on people's radars, but like this is awful.
You think Kalkbrenner's old?
Yeah,
he's older than Kalkbrenner.
Yeah,
he's been in college forever.
Yeah, he's been in college forever.
All right, but I'm going to give you a name that I have higher than Condon and Kalkbrenner.
I know who you're going to say.
Do you?
Yes.
Who?
Renaud.
That's it. Maxim Renaud.
I thought about putting him on this list. I don't have him on.
I'm going to give you the reason why. His ability to shoot the 3-ball and the willingness to shoot the 3-ball translates really well. He's only shooting 34%, but I think there's more meat on that bone. I think he moves extremely well. I think he has some of the same limitations that Condon has, such as the physicality and not being strong enough. But he's also only 22 years old. So there's still room for him to put more weight on, to be better. I think that he has the ability to block shots. He rebounds the ball extremely well. I think there's more facilitating chops for him to show in the league. I think he's going to be a better player than people are giving him credit for. So I would go Renaud, I would go Condon, and then I would go JT Top and Kalkbrenner.
For your 6 through 10?
Correct.
Or 7 through 10?
Correct. Kalkbrenner would be my 10th. Because he's 700 years old. I told Matt my 6 through 10, and he left. He was like, you know what? I'm out of here.
No, sorry. I was shutting my door. Hold on. My bad. So here, let me just tell you mine. Really
Dirty
quick.
Dancer real quick says, so many teams have 2 to 3 picks means more stashes, I think. I agree with that 1,000%. Just like OKC last year has freaking Nikola Topic. Everybody forgets that they have him stashed away. But go ahead, continue.
So my 7 through 10 was I had Condon, Murray Boyles, Toppin, and then to round it out, I had Janai Broom.
I don't have Janai Broom in my top 10.
I thought about putting Renaud. I think the thing with Broom that I like, that I think will translate, is the shot blocking and the rebounding. Is that was like kind of like the tipping point for me. I know I know Renaud shoots the ball a lot better.
But Renaud rebounds just as well as Broom.
Well, I was just saying, like, the shot blocking, I think for me was the tipping point.
Yeah, I know that's true.
Yeah,
he's a good shot. He's a very good
they're
shot blocker.
They're both exceptional rebounders.
I'm interested in his measurables because I think Broom's going to have like crazy long arms.
Yeah.
I think Broom's going to have crazy long arms.
And I think Broom is a slightly, I'd say, yeah, I'd probably give him the edge on playmaking.
I mean, he's older, right? He's like 23. Yeah, he's older. So
yeah, they're both old.
They're both.
I mean, Raynaud's younger.
Raynaud will be 22. Broom's going to be 23. Yeah. So they're around the same age. Man, Murray Boyles, he could be incredibly bad in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have a fit. I'm not saying he is going to be incredibly bad. I'm just saying, like, you're taking a risk. Like, if you're taking Boyles in the top 15 for whatever reason as a GM, he's 6'7", 230 pounds.
Yeah. It's just...
And he doesn't shoot the three.
This is going to have to be like a Ryan Dunn. Like, you're only going to shoot threes for your first 1,000 shots when we select you.
Dude, Dirty Dancer, I like Dirty Dancer. He says, I'll pass on 6'6" centers, thank you.
It doesn't make sense, dude. It doesn't make, like...
Have you ever followed that on-ball creator guy on Twitter? Seen any of his posts? He's the guy, I referenced this before. He said Murray Boyles is the first guy since Zion Williamson, and he mentioned somebody else crazy that's 6'7" and got to the handles the way he does. I know Boyles can handle a little bit, but he doesn't handle the ball like Zion Williamson handles the basketball. He's not giving you in and out crossovers, going to the rim and then dunking on your head.
I struggle with Murray Boyles.
I do too.
And it's not that, like, I think he's it's just a tough NBA eval.
I got a good exercise we can do on the fly.
That's it.
We're gonna do the what do you call it? We're gonna do the Rob Dillingham test we did last year during the draft combine. I know we don't have Murray Boyles' arm length and hand size or any of that, but we're going to assume he's 6'6" or taller, right? Like 6'6", 6'7". That's going to be our assumption. What centers in last year's draft were that size? None?
Yeah, I'd say so, right?
I can't think. Maybe Adam Bonea. He was 6'8". So Bonea is actually taller than Colin Murray Boyles.
Are you saying without shoes? Was that his measurable?
That was his measurements without shoes.
Okay, well then he's 6'10" and with shoes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Boyles is small, dude. He's like small forward small.
There's a world where, like, how old is Boyles?
20.
Sure. Okay, so there's a world where he becomes like a 3-point shooter in his career. Obviously, he's not doing that right now. Mm-hmm. And he'll smoke our evals if that's the case. That's the swing skill. Can you shoot? And, like, I said this, I don't think it wasn't the last pot that we did. It was 2 pots ago. I just want to see him develop some sort of in-between game first.
I agree with that.
Like, let me see you consistently take and make 15-footers, 17-footers. And, like, yeah, I know that's not efficient. Like, but, like, teams are going to play off you. Teams are playing off you.
Size-wise, I can compare him to Trace Jackson Davis.
I think Trace is a little bit bigger, isn't he?
He is. He was 6'8" without shoes. He's even a little bit bigger. And more athletic. He's more vertically athletic.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't high on Trace either, and he's proven me wrong. A lot of people have proven me wrong.
I'm just having a very difficult time coming up with bigs that went through the combine that were 6'7" or smaller and had any success in the NBA. like 6'7"
weird,
is
dude.
like small. Horse Walker was 6'6". What is how do you pronounce his name?
Jarris Walker.
Jarris Walker. Jarris Walker was 6'6" with shoes off, without shoes. That's the best comp I got is Jarris Walker. I said that off the top of my head. Remember? I said he reminds me of Jarris Walker. He's almost the same size as Jarris Walker, except for Jarris Walker was 250 pounds. Colin Boyles 230.
And Jarris has done a good job figuring, like, he's still figuring it out. He's like been solid in spot minutes.
Right, but you would have never taken Walker in the top 15. Like, they're talking about Boyles being like a lottery pick.
What, didn't Walker go in like the top like 7? Like, is that?
I roasted that, by the way. I roasted that pick.
What? Like, it was something like that, wasn't it?
It was high. Yeah, he was taken high. Yeah. I roasted that pick. I can find out for you if you want to know.
But like, it's just weird, man. And there's things that I like that he does.
Yeah.
The defensive playmaking, the passing.
He went 8th.
The physicality. Okay, top 8. All right.
Yeah.
And so like, there's stuff that I like that he does, but like if you're going to play like a big,
right?
I have questions.
Correct, and I don't think he actually handles the ball as well as Walker does. I don't. I think Walker's ball handling is better than Murray Boyles. I'm telling you, I don't think his handle is as good as Walker's. He can handle for a big, but that's because he's 6'7". He could go to the combine and he could end up being 6'6", 6'5". Who knows? Dirty Dancer says, I have to go back to Clarence Weatherspoon and Othello Harrington for comps.
It's crazy.
Crap.
It's a tough eval.
It is very tough.
For an NBA, like, there's other guys on this
list. But this is why I highlight, Matt, look at games where he's playing against other NBA level bigs already. And that's why the Georgetown game, first time around, leaves a bad taste in my mouth. The next game when Sorber, because they played, what was it, like 4 or 5 games ago they played Georgetown?
Well, they're not in the same conference, did they?
Yeah, well, no Sorber, and suddenly he's putting up points. You know what I mean? Like, he's producing. So, like, comparable NBA bigs in the class, and you're not producing is a bad sign.
I wonder if he plays I don't think he'll play at the combine. Now that I say that, those are more of like,
especially if he's getting lottery buzz. That'd be
second round. I was gonna say, like, those are like second round guys who are trying to improve their stock, not Murray Boyles.
Yeah, Murray Boyles would really do himself a disservice if he competed at the combine because he would get exposed.
South Carolina didn't play Georgetown this year.
I'm sorry, Georgia against Asa Newell.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
My bad, bruh.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about Kalkbrenner versus Sorber. That's what it was. Kalkbrenner kept disappearing.
Do they play again? Did they play twice when both were
available? Did play twice. Yeah, they did play twice.
Go check those out. I did not watch those.
So the first half was terrible for Boyles, and then in the second half, he went to the free throw line, like I said, 18 times. So he ended up on 24 points, made 13 of 18 from the free throw line. He also had a 3 in that game.
Kalkbrenner also in the game that I watched recently. God, who was it against? I think it was Marquette.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's very funny when he'll decide to shoot threes. Like, he took one with it was like a 1 possession game with like 3 minutes left and drained it. I'm just like, all right, dude. Like, you have enough gumption to take a 3 at that point when you're not a 3-point shooter and you make it. Like, all right.
Right.
Just a very funny, like,
it is
tidbit I remember. Yeah.
What was I going to say? We have some more comments here in the chat. We have Guru Sun says Kalkbrenner is the best super senior in the draft. Cam Jones would like a word.
Yeah, Cam Jones is better.
Cam Jones would like a word, Guru-san. Steven says, Charles Barkley, 6'6", last one I can remember.
Was Charles that small?
Yes. Dirty Dancer says, those small centers that succeed had major burst, and he doesn't. I agree.
Correct.
1,000,000% with you, Dirty
Correct.
Dancer. 1,000,000%.
He doesn't have a terrible first step, but for someone who's 6'6", 6'7",
right.
Yeah. It's not
and
there.
He's not a vertical athlete at all. Charles was a super vertical athlete. Cam Jones is not a super senior. He's a regular senior. Super seniors are 5 years. Cam is 4th. All right. I don't care. Seniors.
I'm pretty sure Cam is 5, isn't he? I thought he was 5.
I don't personally, I don't even care. But
yeah, I was gonna say it's not that big of a deal.
Not that big of a deal. But we can. I'll give you Kalkbrenner as the best super senior. You can have that.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
Cool. That's right. Cool. Do you classify Alex Caravan as a big?
Absolutely not.
He's a wing, right?
He's more of a guard than a big. Yes.
He's not really a guard. I think he's a
but
wing.
He's more of a
correct. He's more of a guard. That's right.
Yeah, I think of him closer than a guy. Like, yeah, no, he's not.
Did you give Yaxel Lindenberg any consideration?
A little bit. I think at the NBA level he can be a small ball big, but I don't.
Yeah,
I didn't classify him there. I think he's a 4 to me. So I don't classify.
Yeah, he is more of a 4. You're right about that.
I don't think of like a modern day 4, just depending on the skill set. I don't think is a big, but.
Wait, did he just say Kalkbrenner's 270 pounds? There's no way that's correct.
Dude, that's
not right. That's not right. Kalkbrenner is not 270 pounds. I can assure you of that. 250, maybe. He's not 270.
He's a big man. I think it's mostly because of the height. Basketball Reference has him at 235.
I'm telling you, he's not 270. I can promise you that. I did look it up, Guru-san. I did look it up. He's not 270.
I would say he's closer to 250 than 270.
Yeah, there's no way he's 270. You're acting like he's Zach Edey.
But he's also like, just I think because of the height, he has more mass on him.
Yeah,
I don't think he's 235, but I don't think
I think he's somewhere between 245 and 250.
Yeah.
All right, Guru-san. How about this, Guru-san? We'll table this. We'll put a pin in it, as they say. Put a pin in it. And we'll come back when they weigh him at the combine. Why would I have to look at ESPN?
What does the combine say from last year? Didn't he test?
Yeah, that's a great call out from you.
I mean, Matt Hanifan. Probably gotten stronger since then, but
250.
Okay.
251.8 to be exact.
I was gonna say, like, I think he's.
You said 270. Look it up. It's on ESPN.
I don't think he's 270. 250 sounds right in my head.
It looks right as well. He's not nearly as big as Zach Edey was. Zach Edey was 299.
It's also crazy that there's a chance he'll win his 4th Big East Player of the Year. Or Defensive Player of the Year.
He's freaking Van Wilder, man. He's Van Wilder.
Again, I don't love the ceiling. So, like, if you criticize me for having him 6 because of that part of it, fine.
Guru-san, I'm gonna mention this for the last time. I don't care what ESPN has him listed at. He's listed at the NBA Combine, who officially weighs these people, and he's 251.8. Anyway, moving on. Would you like to do shooting guards as our next podcast?
Sure.
The top 10 shooting guards you should know. I am going to do some homework between now and then on one Sergio. How do you pronounce his last name here? Sergio Delaria. And I challenge you, Matt, to do some homework on at least one international guy.
Okay. All right. You're giving me home. I appreciate that.
At least one. You got to do at least one international guy.
The only one that I've watched a little bit of is Nolan. But it's like it's not enough for me to
form an opinion.
Yeah.
I got it.
But that's the only one.
Well, I tell you what, guys, I appreciate all of you, even Guru-san, who we had a little bit of a disagreement with. I appreciate Steven, who dropped by, Dirty Dancer, all the people that watch this or listen to it on a podcast back. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate both of you guys. Hold on. Dirty Dancer, he says, go watch Hugo's 2 minutes of tape.
No.
Dirty Dancer, I tried to watch Hugo Gonzalez 7 different times. I turned on 7 different games, and he never freaking plays.
Doesn't he play for? Is it Real? Like
Real Madrid?
Like really good.
They're a good club, but he gets on the floor and he's not good, so they take him back off the floor. I'm all the way out on Hugo Gonzalez.
I wonder how much of that's like just him being young and raw. I don't know. I'm projecting.
Ben Serif's young, and he's really good. I like Ben Serif a lot. All of Hugo's teammates are ex-NBA players. Every single one. I agree with that, Guru-san.
Good guys to get tidbits from.
But also, if you're playing with better players, you should be able to fulfill that lesser role and be able to contribute. He does not. But yeah, man, I'm excited, Matt. Tell these people where they can find you, follow you, and get more of your work, and we'll do this again next time.
At NPH_824_. That's where you can find me at on Twitter. Still not on Blue Sky. I say that like every other show that we do. I'm still not on it. So you can at me and tell me to get on Blue Sky. I don't care.
That's right. At Matt on Twitter. Tell him to get on Blue Sky. Don't let him breathe a single minute of social media air without letting him know. I'm Digital Adele. You can find me on social media, including Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, wherever social media is found. Follow us on, if you're a Miami Heat fan, on playback.tv/5RSN on Heat basketball games. For all of your college stuff, follow us here at playback.tv/Hoops Profile and on YouTube at Hoops Profile as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.